So they took my money during the year, told me they would give it to me tomorrow. Then tomorrow is much less than it is today because of inflation. So they took my money during the year, told me I'd get it back tomorrow. It's way less than it is today. Then I get taxed on my tax refund. And that's what y'all been doing for the past 20 years. I'm on letter 20 out of 26. I said I'm starting off 26 days straight. But if y'all notice, I'm having fun with it, right? It's a tough thing to do something every single day for 26 days straight. Then tomorrow I got to think of something else. Then tomorrow I got to think of something else. And then tomorrow I got to think of something else. But it's a tough task. But guess what? Now, I think I'm talented enough to take this information and teach you about time, taxes, thoughts, and everything else that begins with the letter T. So let's get into this. Time. Believe it or not, this is the ABCs of money. But it's time for you to understand that time is your most valuable asset. Believe it or not, it's not money. Time is your most valuable asset. Why do we act like we have to leave a legacy for our children when we're gone, when the truth is you can leave a legacy for your children while you are here? Take these ABCs serious. Develop some tenacity, if you will, and collapse the time that you want to live out your goals, dreams, and aspirations and get things done while you're still alive instead of always talking about leaving a legacy. That's tomorrow talk. What are you going to do today? I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor now. I want to enjoy spending time with Makai and all you guys that have children. You understand, your spouse or your significant other and your children. You do stuff for them, but who said you had to be gone in order to do it? See, what you got to learn how to do is take your time, but hurry up. Does that make sense? You got to take your time, but hurry up. That means take your time learning this stuff. You don't learn money overnight when they didn't teach it in schools. So you got to take your thoughts and redevelop them because you were taught things that were incorrect all throughout college, throughout high school. They just didn't tell you the truth about money. So when we say take your time, we're not talking about go slow. We're just saying give yourself a chance to absorb it all. Give yourself a chance to shift your mindset so you can shift your income. Give yourself a chance to say, okay, let me take an hour a day to learn some new tricks of the trade when it comes to money. Let me give myself, let me look at these ABCs so I can learn these tricks of the trade and teach myself some new tactical approaches to getting it. Let me take some time and trace my steps. Let me look down the road. Let me trace my steps and make sure I'm going down the right direction, listening to the right people, and my thoughts are being given the proper perspective, and I'm pulling all these ABCs together. Let me build a team of people around me, but I gotta take my time doing this. Brian, what's my team? Well, when you start making some money, you're gonna need a good CPA. You're gonna need a great attorney. You're gonna need all these things. You're gonna need people around you that understand money, and people. I talked about this when I talked about the alliance in another letter. People around you, that's your team, that are y'all are all going in the same direction together. So just not your money team, your attorney and your CPA and all those things, the people that help you run your business and your employees and your 1099s or your contractors, not just that team, but you're gonna need a team of people around you that support you on this journey. So take your time surrounding yourself or learning who you need to surround yourself with, but hurry up and implement the things that I've been teaching. That's what I mean by take your time, but hurry up. See, y'all act like time is a finite resource. No, you act like time is an infinite resource. Time is actually a finite resource. It's not infinite. Take your time, but hurry up. Implement it now. Go ahead and get any mistakes you need to make out the way, but take your time becoming the person that you need to become. Be patient with yourself and don't beat yourself to death if you don't have $1 million by tomorrow. Brian, I ain't make $10,000 yesterday. Well, have you ever made $10,000 in one day? Give yourself time to get the results, but hurry up to take the tactics I'm giving you seriously. In other words, you got to have some be tenacious when it comes to that. Have some tenacity when it comes to your aggressiveness in these tools and techniques that I'm giving you. Because time is more valuable than anything else. I've lost tons of money. Those that don't know me, I lost my first $1 million. I retired when I was 22, fired my boss over 20 years ago, about 25 years ago, when I was 22 years old. So I didn't waste no time. But I didn't know the right tactics and had the right thoughts, and I was using the wrong techniques when it came to my money. So guess what? I had to get it all back. How'd you lose it, Brian? Taxes. Current taxes, back taxes. I got audited, so I had to pay my future taxes. I lost my money due to taxes. So I'm gonna end with taxes today, so I can show you guys some things that you want to understand when it comes to your money. But first, I need you to get that time down. Not only that, I want to talk to you guys about terminology. How about that? The reason most people don't understand money is because they let society and capitalism trip them up using terminology. And when you understand the proper terminology, your money's gonna start flowing totally different. I'm gonna give y'all the best example. I'm gonna give you one example real quick so you can understand terminology, so you won't be intimidated. When you go to the bank, for example, to get a loan, they give you a loan application. So you walking in all ginger and I was gonna say tender. You being timid when it comes to your posture and your attitude, because you're like, please, I need the loan. Please, I need the car. Please, I need the house. Please, I need the credit card. So you walking along and you being all timid. And the bank says, here, you need to fill out a loan application. And what's your social security number? And you need to tell us how much you make per year and what is your income before and after taxes. And you need to tell us everything about yourself, your work history, and why do you have slow payments, and why do you have late payments, and why do you have no payments. And you do see that we have the largest buildings downtown. So when it comes to the bank and intimidation, they got you hands down. You walking in timid because you feel like you need them. Well, isn't that interesting? So when you need money, it's called a loan. So you're already in a subservient position. So you're already feeling like they kind of got the upper hand on you. Well, when the bank needs to borrow money, they do what's called float a bond issue. See, everything that you see around you is money being loaned by somebody to somebody for something. So when your county needs to build a school or put in new roads or put some lights in, they float a bond issue. That's a municipal bond that helps to build your local municipality. How do you think the police officers get paid? How do you think the firemen get paid? These are how do you think officials get paid? That's a municipal bond that you can invest in. So they do what's called float a bond issue. That means you can invest in a municipal bond and that money's being used to take care of the county. See, in the bond game, just look at the name of the bond and it'll tell you who's borrowing the money. A mortgage bond, a corporate bond, a municipal bond. You see how that works? So everything that has a bond attached to it is simple. Somebody's borrowing money from the fund. So when the government needs to borrow money, when the banks need to borrow money, they do what's called float a bond issue. They're borrowing your money. It's just different terminology. So when you go to the bank, oh my goodness, please give us the loan. You got your fingers crossed, you got your toes crossed, you got, everything crossed. So they make you feel bad. But they use big boy terminology so you won't know they borrowing money. When you put your money in the checking account, the bank is borrowing your money. When you put your money in the savings account, the bank is borrowing your money. When you put your money in the CD, money market, and all these little terms they use to get you to think you're doing something special. Hey, Mr. Beane, would you like to open up a money market account instead of a checking account? What's the difference? The minimum balance is higher and the monthly fee is higher if you go below the minimum balance. The interest rate ain't no higher because y'all both giving me negative 2%. So y'all notice I use 2%? Yeah, I could have said 1%, but since we on T's today, I gotta go with 2. Anyway, y'all both giving me negative 2% on my money, but what y'all really doing is borrowing my money and then giving me back negative 2%. And then because you don't think I understand that the terminology of a money market account and a checking account is just a checking account with savings privileges is the same thing, because you don't think I understand terminology and perspective. You think you doing me a favor by giving me an account when all y'all doing is borrowing my money. Because at the end of the day, you floating bonds, mortgage bonds, corporate bonds, municipal bonds, government bonds, means you're in the borrowing business. I'm teaching you something today, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get caught up in terminology and be intimidated by the money game. W-2, highest tax bracket. 1099, slightly lower tax bracket. Capital gains, the lowest tax bracket of them all. Schedule C is how you file your taxes. Form 1040 is what you submitted to show them. Schedule C is how you kind of record your taxes, if you will. It's the itemization. The 1040 is what you're actually gonna, turn in. 501c is a nonprofit. 401k. You see, these are all just tax codes. Don't be intimidated by terminology when it comes to money. It's just tax codes. So you get a loan, they get to float a bond. People say, who's bigger, the government or the banks? Who's bigger? See, it's all about terminology and perspective. The government is bigger. Well, Brian, how do you know? Well, last time I checked, the government bailed the banks out. The banks didn't bail the government out. The government got the largest account in the world. Why? Because of taxes. So when the bank, when Wells Fargo and Countrywide and, Bear Stearns and Bank of America and Chase and everybody got in trouble, the government stroked that check. But who really stroked the check? You, me, with taxes. Let me get this straight. People in high places back in 2008, 2009, 2010 decided to give bad loans to people that they knew could not afford it. So our economy took a turn for the worse, and we had a terrible, terrible, terrible recession because banks were giving money to people who couldn't afford it, and foreclosures went through the roof. So the same banks that were giving out loans they couldn't afford had to turn to the government, who in turn increased taxes to pay all that back. Now that's just terrible. But hey, it's capitalism. And because people didn't understand the right terminology or have the right perspective about money, they didn't realize that all we did was hurt ourselves and have to pay back loans that you couldn't afford. And people that understood terminology and perspective got rich off the backs of the foreclosures by flipping those houses, gentrifying those areas, building them back up, pushing grandma and everybody out, because now that this is a new area, the property taxes are much higher. Grandma got fixed income. She can't afford to pay her taxes. She loses her house. So the government and banks have always been in cahoots together. It's a team effort. So that's why we stick together in Extra Digit, for example, as a team to fight. See, everybody else teaming up. You out here trying to get wealthy by yourself. You understand? See, I created this ABC challenge the ABC challenge, money challenge, because I want you guys to constantly introduce this to people. Have you shared this video yet? Introduce it to people. So every day they can get a letter of the alphabet and start saying their ABCs a little different. 26 days ain't no time for you to learn about money. You've been broke 26 years. My friends, a lot of my friends, been broke 26 years. You can't give this challenge 26 days and take the time to learn together and be on a winning team. Because I can promise you the government, banks, big business, corporate America, they on the same team. So everybody went out here and increased your taxes to pay back something that they got you in trouble for in the first place. Boy, these folks do some shady, shady tactics. But now that you got the right terminology, you're going to look at money a little different. Like, wait a minute. So they floated a bond issue to build the Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia. They borrowed money. So they got you thinking, see, if you knew that the corporations were borrowing money, and if you knew that the government was borrowing money, and if you knew that your municipality was borrowing money, if they called it a loan, you'd be like, the county broke, we broke. The corporation broke, the government broke, so they can't say, look, we need to borrow some money from the people and get a loan. So they called it floating a bond issue, so it sounds prestigious. It's just terminology. I'm not a money expert, let's be clear. I teach terminology and perspective. I'm not the wealthiest person in the world, let's be clear. But I do have I got some coins. I'm not the richest person by far, and I can't explain money like a financial advisor can, but I'm a financial educator who can teach you like no other how the game works. Because I've taken the time to break it down with great mentors and a winning team to learn the perspective of wealthy people. And then, lo and behold, I'm on the way there. Taxes. When you understand this, your investment strategy and the way you look at things is going to change. Let me give this to you. These are the tricks of the trade. It's 4 levels of taxation. Here's the trick of the trade. 4 levels. 1 is taxable. 1 is tax deductible. 1 is tax deferred. And 1 is tax exempt. Whenever you make an investment, the first question you want to ask yourself is, how is this taxed? So you don't want it to be a fair trade, if you will. You don't want, your investment to go bad for you, but good for excellent for somebody else. That's not a good trade. You want to say, okay, is the government making a whole bunch of money off my investment? That's not a good trade. Or am I putting my money somewhere and it's going to help me in the long run, and the government not going to get a whole bunch of it? See, that's a better trade. So is this investment taxable? Is this investment tax deductible? Is this investment tax deferred? Or is this investment tax free? I'll give you an example real quick. I'll give you an example of tax deferred. Employees, for example, have a threshold employers have a threshold that they can put about don't quote me on this, but like $52,000 in your 401k, $57,000, in your IRA without taxation. In other words, you won't get taxed if you keep it below 56, 57,000. It changes a little bit each year. So by the time you do your taxes, if you got a little surplus, you can stash that money in your future, right? Your IRA, and the government won't tax you on that 56 because you're planning for the future. So it was tax deferred. You didn't pay taxes on it now because you stashed it and took it off of your taxable income. So why aren't more of y'all putting money in your IRA as business owners when that's tax deferred and it won't be taxed at all if you don't touch it? So if you don't touch it, the government says, hey, we need you to prepare for your future because one day you're not going to be able to maintain the lifestyle that you currently have without working. So if you want to maintain the lifestyle that you currently have while you're working and keep that same lifestyle when you're not working, we got to put something towards your future. Well, if you put something towards your future, the government rewards you with tax deferment. Now your IRA and that tax deferment became a tax deduction on your 1040 or your Schedule C. See, I told you I'm not a CPA, but those that know money know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, the Schedule C itemizes it and breaks it down. The 1040 is the form that's actually submitted. Now I got a tax deferred money. I got tax deferred money and I got tax deductible money. And because I paid myself and paid it for in the right account, which is my IRA, I got both. But no, most of us, man, do everything taxable. We get a tax refund. Yeah, so it's tax season. So I'm going to get a tax refund. Re means again, fund means money. So a tax refund is really my money again. And then when I get my money, the tax refund, because I filled it out on my tax return, is taxable. So they took my money during the year, told me they would give it to me tomorrow. Then tomorrow is much less than it is today because of inflation. So they took my money during the year, told me I'd get it back tomorrow. It's way less than it is today. Then I get taxed on my tax refund. And that's what y'all been doing for the past 20 years. And then we wonder why had we taken our money up front and instead of getting a $6,000 check, we would have got $500 per month. That's $6,000 at the end of the year. It's the same $6,000, but the $500 per month could have been used to pay off debt. So now you're getting your money back from the banks and the government who I told you were on the same team together. So the government has a way of telling you what to do if you just take the time to listen. If you get married, you get a tax deduction. If you have a child, you get a tax deduction. If you improve your carbon footprint and do solar energy and put solar panels on your house and solar panels on your roof, you get a tax deduction. If you have a house instead of an apartment, the interest on your mortgage is a tax deduction. So if the government gives you a tax deduction for having a business, they must want you to have one. Because every other area of your life, when they want you to do something, they reduce your taxes. So a tax refund that's taxable, just because you're getting money tomorrow on money that you earn today, may not be the best tactic when it comes to your finances.